Oh, GE on track for its biggest one-day percentage loss in over a decade. The most active stock traded today on the S&P 500. Madoff whistleblower Harry Markopoulos out with a new report alleging accounting fraud bigger than, quote, Enron and WorldCom combined. GE firing back in a statement saying, quote, we have never met, spoken to, or had contact with this person. And while we can't comment on the detailed content of a report that we haven't seen, the allegations we have heard are entirely false and misleading. GE stands by its financials. We operate to the highest level of integrity in our financial reporting, and we have clearly laid out our financial obligations in great detail. Okay, so a couple days ago, Stephanie Link was here on the show, said she had added to her GE position in the face of some of the weakness. I wanted to get a comment from her. So here's what Stephanie Link says, and who knows if other investors in this stock feel the same way. But here's from Stephanie Link, quote, I think this is a gross exaggeration in terms of the stock move. Liquidity is fine with $46 billion in bank lines, $11 billion from the Baker Hughes GE sale, and $21 billion from the biopharma sale. So that's a shareholder's perspective, just one, but an interesting one. Obviously one who runs a pretty good-sized portfolio at TIAA. What do you think?
We've been diagnosing this thing under the option side of it for 2 years. I went back, Scott, and you've gotten tired of me coming up, hey, Scott, I got more unusual in GE.
No, I mean, you've been single digit from the get-go.
July 2017 is when a lot of this really started. And when I say started, I'm talking about 50,000 plus options being bought to the downside, as much as into the six figures. We've had as big as 300,000 options bought at a single time, Scott, over this time period. That started with the stock at 25, by the way. And as we've gone lower, they've accelerated and accelerated and accelerated. We have two today. So obviously some of that could be involved with this news of what we're hearing today. But I just go back to July 31st. They were buying the September 9 puts. They're paying 17 cents for these things. Today, I'm selling some of those out for over 80 plus cents, Scott. And now, and what we did was roll into the October 8 puts. They just continue to get very, very aggressive. Now, one of the numbers that I saw from this report was potentially $38 billion. Well, if that's the case, and they have a market cap of $70 billion, we're talking about half. Well, they're buying January 4 strike puts now as well. On top of everything else that we see, we're just continuing to see this flows that come into here. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. But I will say this. They have been right from 25 all the way down to 6. And here we are once again as it's gone from 9, 10, pushing back down again. The options volumes just continue to come in there. And it's negative, negative, negative.
Now this just puts the onus, Joe, even more so on, Larry Culp over at GE, who first had to, convince the market that he could turn around the ship, that they could deal with the problems at Power, and that it was in a good position for a long-term investor to take a look at. Now he has to counter a narrative about accounting fraud. That's a lot to deal with.
So I would say GE's response is wrong, and I think potentially the gentleman who's bringing forth these accounting missteps could be potentially be wrong. And for the investor that's sitting out there saying, okay, do I buy an 11% sell-off in GE? No, I don't think you do. Stephanie's done the forensics on it. She's comfortable being long it. I think we all have to be comfortable with that. But I think the messaging, first and foremost, from Larry Culp was weak. Larry Culp, his company's under attack. Your stock is down 12%. Someone's using a term like off balance sheet. That's troubling. You need to get out there. You need to defend that. You need to dismiss it immediately. He needs to be more aggressive. The other side of it is, again, if I'm sitting at home and saying, do I buy GE here? Now I'm thinking to myself, I can't rely on the analysts. I have to go out and buy someone who does the accounting. Well,
in terms of what his price target's been and how adamant he's been about where he thinks
Pete,
and it's coming from way up here. I'm not talking he just went negative today.
I'm not specifically talking, though, about price targets. I'm talking about having to do the forensics on what this company's debt might or might not look like. So I want no part of it at that point.
Well, now, the next earnings call, the barrage of questions from analysts is going to be, Culp's going to go through all of the fundamentals of the quarter, and it's going to go in one ear and out the other of the analysts who are going to say, yeah, but, what about what this guy says about...
Let's remember, it's not a Larry Culp. I mean, it's a problem for him.
No, but I mean, he's the one who has to deal with it.
Yes, absolutely.
But wasn't the government on them already about some accounting issues? This isn't new. and they're attacking, Harry's motives on this. Don't attack his motives. It is what it is, right? He should get paid to do this kind of work. It's not an issue. Right. That aside, this goes into the much too tough category. It's unanalyzable. Most companies are analyzable. This one in particular.
Although the risk-reward of these options the entire time, I just want to point this out, have been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, risk-reward, you got a 17-cent option on something that has potential to blow up the way it has to the upside. I mean, that's risk reward that I love, and I bring that up all the time to you. When it's an inexpensive option like that, and you've got a little bit of time, you've got a little bit of movement, and you've got news stories that are catalysts around it, Scott, that's a great opportunity. Those are what you want to take advantage of.
My position's been short or long. I'd rather be short still.